and that means the club that in 2008 was in the third tier of Spanish football is headed to the Champions League. And actually, as of right now, they're ahead of Barcelona in second. Barca dropped to third. And Real Madrid,
it's over.
Very happily in first place. And there you have it. Number 36. Their 36th all-time title for Real Madrid and their second league title in the last 3 seasons. And there we see Plaza de Cibeles in the Spanish capital of Madrid, the traditional gathering spot for Real Madrid fans to celebrate a championship. The players aren't there. Apparently stayed behind for a more reserved celebration at the Santiago Bernabeu, where they watched Barcelona fall 4-2 against Girona. But nevertheless, there are some folks partying there in Madrid. Amazing scenes. Stevie, what would you give to be there?
Stevie?
Would we let Stevie out there?
A lot of other places.
Would we ever get him back?
To be honest, I think I'd rather wait till the end of the season and be there.
Be when it's a real party.
When the players are there.
When it's
a proper party and a proper crowd.
And maybe they bring a Champions League trophy with them. So, yeah.
What do you think about Ancelotti keeping the boys home?
I think it's the right decision. And if we talk about the rotations today by Real Madrid against Cádiz, is because they're focusing on Champions League, and that's actually playing a game. Imagine having to stick around for celebrations. Now, I'm sure that they had nice moments inside the locker room once they figured out that they were going to win the league, and it's something that I think in an intimate setting they would have enjoyed a whole lot more because you're sharing with the people that have done this with you. And it's the group, it's the closest group. And if you have a close-knit group, then you really can get into a celebration inside that locker room. But you know, and you know this full well if you're a Real Madrid player, that you were going to win the league regardless, regardless of what happened today. So it now becomes shifting your focus. And your focus, as it was going into the Cádiz game, was Champions League, a second leg against Bayern Munich, and that remains the focus. And until they win that, then I don't think the celebration is going to get out of control.
Good time to welcome in our friend and colleague Luis Garcia to the show. Luis, today felt like kind of a summary of what we've seen all season. Real Madrid, 10 changes, still get the job done. Barcelona have a lead early in the game, have a lead in the second half, and can't get the job done. And as a result, Real Madrid win the title. What'd you make of it?
Yeah, exactly that, Seb. I mean, the way that we've seen Real Madrid during the whole season, consistent, effective, even with rotation, never lost the composure, never lost the aim of on the target that they have about winning a game, and at the end, you can see, I mean, there's not only that they have won the title, is that they are 14 points away from Barcelona and 20 away from Atletico Madrid, 2 of the teams that they should be battling. But Girona is right there because they really deserve it. They've done an amazing job, but it wasn't on the list in the beginning of the season. So Real Madrid this season has been impressive. Lot of credit we have to give it to Ancelotti. I think that the way that he managed the team during all the days and the weeks that they had so many problems because of the injuries, players not in top form, they had to change it. We saw getting Ibrahim Diaz at some point. We saw Tchouaméni playing as a centre-back, Camavinga playing as a left-back. Jude Bellingham, that he was a top scorer, had to drop a little bit to the left side to try to give confidence and structure to the team into the middle. So a lot of situations that Ancelotti has been managing during the whole season. Really, really impressive. And again, just to congratulate Real Madrid for this amazing season once again. And just focusing on what is going to be a midweek game on Champions League. And on Barcelona's side, a very vulnerable team, lost lack of confidence every single time that they were in front of a challenge during a game. When the thing was going well, of course, it's easy to be
Luis,
confident.
we're doing Barcelona later. I know you got your pro-Barcelona ways, but we'll get to Barcelona's meltdown in just a little bit. As far as the season of the story goes, Kasey, is it down to Ancelotti when it comes to Real Madrid?
Well, when you think of the injuries, you think of how they've had to chop and change, and they've still been able to find ways to get the results throughout the year. I mean, it's huge. I mean, that's the reason why big clubs have big squads, so they can cover. But when the key injuries that they had at center back, at goalkeeper, I think Benzema not being replaced at the beginning of the season, that yes, there was some question marks. Now, what also helped Ancelotti and Real Madrid was an incredibly inconsistent Atletico Madrid, particularly away from home, and a Barcelona that couldn't defend in comparison to the way they defended the year before when they won the title. So yes, that helped, but take nothing away from Ancelotti.
Is there some story here that the rest of the league dropped off and that's why Real Madrid was able to not just win the league, but do so with basically 4 games left to go?
If you're Real Madrid, it's not your responsibility, nor is it your problem, nor your concern if others are having issues. You're having your own concerns and your own issues. So many times we sit here when we analyze teams and we talk about the spine of the team. But the spine of the team for Real Madrid fell apart coming into the season and very early on in the season. And so you're depending on the rotation and shifting players in and out of positions that, quite frankly, they don't want to play. Camavinga doesn't want to play left back, and he was given that responsibility. Tchouaméni doesn't want to play center back, and he was given that responsibility. Antonio Rudiger had a tremendous season, and he was not expected to be a starter. And there is the shifting, and I think this is critical to the success of Real Madrid, not only this year, but in years to come. The shifting from the old guard, the guys that have been established, the legendary players that are Toni Kroos and Luka Modric, to the future of Real Madrid. And we're talking about Valverde, and we're talking about Bellingham, and we're talking about players that continue to play a more important and more prominent role for Real Madrid. If you're a manager, you have to handle all of that and handle that very carefully. Ancelotti has done that perfectly for Real Madrid this season. I said it in the coverage and I'll say it again. I think this is the best coaching job that Carlo Ancelotti has ever done, because even though the expectations should have dropped off given the magnitude of the injuries they had, they still deliver a league title. They're in a semi-final Champions League, and they have an inside track to get to the final of that competition as well. This has been outstanding from Real Madrid, regardless of what has gone on in the rest of La Liga.
I think you have to mention Lunin as well, because when you have
goalkeeper shout out,
of course. When you
if anyone was going to mention him, we knew it was
yes,
going to be.
but when you have the stature of a Thibaut Courtois go out, and then your backup, you pretty much know you're going to be playing the whole season, and I think he did a very good job, particularly that he didn't have the established defense. He had chopping and changing, as Ali mentioned, in front of him, and everybody was able to rise and win this title.
And think about this. Since you're going to give a shout out to the goalkeeper, I'll give a shout out to the attacking players. Vinny Jr. was out for a long period of time during this season because of hamstring injury and recurring injuries. Rodrigo was not scoring goals early on. And somehow they just managed to get to the next result and get to the next result. So while everybody else is collapsing around them, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, Girona eventually collapsed, even though it was a good story for a good period of time during the season. But Barcelona and Atletico Madrid were collapsing. The difference between those teams and Real Madrid is the personality, the temperament, the consistency, the plan in place and the execution of that plan. There aren't all the side stories. You don't hear side stories from Real Madrid. As a club as big as this one, you don't hear controversies. You don't hear the manager complaining and whining about different things. No, they get to the next match and they win. And then the next match comes around and they win. Was it pretty? Was it ugly? Doesn't matter. 3 points. 3 points, 3 points, 3 points, while everybody else is collapsing around them.
I mean, we talk about Ancelotti, being a great man manager. But we shouldn't forget that he's a great team manager, because...
What's the difference?
Well, the difference is that individually you look after people the right way. They arm around, they kick up the backside, they're talking to them. But it's very easy for a team to have so many big players out with injuries that it kind of spreads amongst the team that they're not quite sure they're going to be good enough because they've lost players. He dispels all that. So the team goes on the field, and although there might be 3 or 4 guys who are so-called superstars or they're so-called starters, nobody panics. There's a calmness about the way the team goes about, the way they do their business. To the point, they've only lost 1 game all season. You know, you said earlier, is this about other teams dropping off? Well, when you've only lost 1 game with a couple of games to go, you're getting an awful lot of things right, including your back line.
Real Madrid 3-0 winners on the day against Cádiz, and they continue the celebrations into the Madrid evening there.